3 Hitman games, but 3 very different Hitman games, each one representing a different era. Blood Money with its free sandbox style that made us fall in love with the series. Absolution is kind of the odd one out. It was by no means a bad game, in fact it was pretty good. It had a more linear approach. Hitman 3 has everything that made these games great, mainly the freedom to finish tasks in creative ways. Let's find out which is the better stealth game, the better Hitman, and the better game overall. These games are very gameplay driven, so it's no surprise that they have top-notch gameplay elements. Even going all the way back to Silent Assassin, it had so many things that were so ahead of its time. Blood Money's gameplay was once again innovative. For example, you could strangle enemies from the top of an elevator and hide them there. That is one example of the creative options the game has. If things do go out of hand and you're forced to go on a rampage, then the game does get a little wonky. Gunplay has never been the main attraction in these games. It works sometimes and sometimes it's a mess. Combat in general, both guns and melee feel unpolished and at times can be frustrating. Stealth is where the game shines. Stealth animations like crouching, strangling or hiding enemies are all well done. Everything just flows together really well when you're sneaking around. Gameplay is as creative as the player playing it. The sea of weapons and devices here can do things that are almost unimaginable. A coin could be used to distract enemies, but also take them out if you're creative enough. The game is a literal blank sheet for you to draw upon, with hundreds of ways to do even basic things. Absolution's gameplay can be summed up as smooth. A cover system was introduced that works surprisingly well. Moving from cover to cover was seamless, and most of the time it works like a dream. The game has a ton of new features like Instinct, which will uncover enemies and their paths on lower difficulties. A new disguise system was introduced as well, wherein if you're donning a chef's costume, other chefs will make out you aren't one of them if you get too close. This works sometimes and other times it makes no sense. If you're planning on abandoning stealth, things are still a little shaky, but it's definitely a lot better. A Deadeye-like feature has also been added, allowing you to take out multiple enemies at once. Absolution is a linear game. Gameplay gives you freedom, but it's nowhere near other Hitmans, both before and since Absolution. Maps are more go from checkpoint to checkpoint rather than scope out the environment and form your own plans. The game gives you certain set pieces and it expects you to play it accordingly. There are certain missions that give you a lot of freedom and then there are some that give you nothing. Absolution isn't a bad game by any means, as I said, it's actually good. But is it a good Hitman game? That's tough to say. Hitman 3 will remind you of Silent Assassin and Blood Money. The game takes what made the early Hitman games great and tries to expand and build on it. This is exactly what we Hitman fans wanted. The game gives you more freedom, more room than any game in the series. The stealth itself has so many options. For me, this is as good as social stealth can get. Want to finish the objective with your own suit? You can do that. It'll be hard, but you can do it. Or you could change disguises every few minutes and do the job. Since there are so many choices, you'll replay each mission multiple times, get to know the map better, and find ways you didn't even think about before. Hitman games are known to have incredible replay value. Early installments made you replay levels to get a better score or find a completely new and rewarding way to finish the objective. Blood Money is super replayable, many opportunistic kills, each map is different with varying sizes and landscapes. You'll need to play each map at least 3 times to see everything it offers. Absolution is probably the least replayable one in the series. You can play it for a couple of times, but that's about it. There isn't anything you'll find when playing the game for the 10th time. It's a well-made game and the near perfect gameplay will make you replay, but the maps aren't made for replayability. Hitman 3 is a game designed for replaying. That's a major reason why Hitman 1 came out in episodic fashion. Devs wanted players to explore maps thoroughly, maps that they put so much effort into. The game takes you to Dubai, the UK, China, Argentina, Germany, and Romania. Recent installments have introduced mission stories, which are basically a set of events that lead you to an assassination. You can find many of these in each section, so that in itself demands replays. Playing Hitman 3 once is like playing only a part of a game. The only way to get the full experience is replays. Hitman games aren't known for delivering great stories, and some might say the plot doesn't matter in these games. I personally think the story isn't that important, but it still plays a role in making these games better. I won't spoil anything major here, so no worries if you haven't played any one. Blood Money has a decent plot, but it isn't anything we haven't seen before. Agent 47 has always been deemed as an urban myth, but former FBI Director Alexander Kane reveals everything about Agent 47 to an American journalist, Rick Henderson. During this time, a similar organization to the ICA called the Franchise go on a spree, killing ICA agents, but the barcoded bald assassin gets away, so pretty standard stuff. Hitman Absolution has a more personal story. It could be argued that it features the best narrative in a Hitman game. But anyway, we start off in Chicago, where Agent 47 is sent to assassinate longtime handler Diana Burnwood, who has betrayed the ICA for no apparent reason. He wounds Diana but doesn't finish the job and gets to know Victoria is genetically designed to be an assassin for the ICA, much like himself. Diana didn't want Victoria to end up like the famed assassin, so as a dying wish tells 47 to protect Victoria from the ICA. Hitman 3's story is a continuation of the two previous games. Agent 47 is on a mission to end Providence. He embarks on this mission with his longtime handler Diana and a long-lost friend. The game isn't going to blow you away with its plot. It's 80% focused on gameplay and 20% on the narrative. Hitman games, like Bond films, take place all over the world in incredibly diverse locations. The latest installments takes this even further, as you'll see. I know locations matter, so I'm going to list out every place these games take you. Blood Money takes you to several places in the US, namely San Diego, Las Vegas, Washington DC, an unknown location, and a few more, but it's pretty much just the one country, except for Paris and Chile. Absolution in comparison with other Hitmans doesn't stand out in terms of locations. It takes you to Chicago, Hope County, and Cornwall, England, and that's pretty much it. Hitman 3 is exotic to say the least. It takes you to 6 countries in 3 different continents. Agent 47 goes to the UAE, England, Romania, Germany, China, and Argentina. Game length is a surprisingly important factor for some gamers. It might be the difference between getting them or not. This section is for you guys. Blood Money's main campaign will take you about 10 to 13 hours, but if you're a completionist, it can take you anywhere between 30 to 40 hours. Absolution's campaign is 12 to 15 hours long, and if you want to see and do everything the game offers, it'll take you about 40 hours. Hitman 3 has a short main campaign that lasts only about 10 hours, but completing everything will take an astonishing 150 hours. All 3 of these games are outstanding, each game offering a different kind of experience. This is not something we see in other gaming franchises. Like when you get into a GTA, you know exactly what you're gonna get. I'd say Blood Money is the better Hitman game. It has those classic Hitman features, but also has a decent plot. In my opinion, Absolution is as good a game as Blood Money, but it doesn't feel like a Hitman. Because of mission design, even gameplay feels different. It's a top-notch stealth game, but an average Hitman. Hitman 3 gameplay-wise is as Hitman can get. The game has an average story at best. Yeah, classic Hitmans didn't have mind-boggling stories, but it had something that kept you engaged. Hitman 3 doesn't. Well, we have come to an end. Subscribe to the channel if you got to this point. I'm sure you'll enjoy everything else on the channel. Like if you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching and see you next time.